you have deities at home, and the wonderful forms of Sri Sri Gaunitai, they're really beautiful. The expressions are so nice. You have Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. You have transformed this house into a temple, and you are following all the regulative principles and principles of serving the deities very nicely. The more we do this, the more regulated we become, the more peaceful actually we become in our lives. This is the greatest challenge for us. Sometimes we are so accustomed to living in a certain way, but we don't realize that that way of living without Krishna doesn't really bring us peace. Even if it brings us a little moment of happiness, it is very fleeting. But if you regulate your life in such a way that Krishna becomes the center, and you just construct your life around him, then he will always be protective of you. This is the greatness of Krishna actually. Don't forget, Krishna is taking care of so many people who don't even have faith in him. He's giving them food, he's giving them water, he's giving them shelter, he's giving them everything. They are not wanting in anything. Then what more for the devotees? How much more will he give the devotees? Even those who are not remembering him, those who don't want to put him in the center, even then he gives them the basic necessities. So how much more will he give us if we actually become very fixed with him actually? Rupa Goswami actually has composed a very beautiful prayers describing the beauty of Krishna actually. In one prayer, it is known as Shri Krishnasya Mahima. It describes the glory of Krishna. Very nicely it is stated how powerful Krishna is and how merciful he can be. So today I was thinking that we should try to reflect on this beautiful point that Rupa Goswami brings up, because Rupa Goswami is the father of devotional service, and it becomes so important for us to be able to understand Krishna from his lenses. It is also stated by our acharyas that we should be very careful not to understand Krishna through our own lenses. Our own lenses are defective, and very often we are so distracted by material things that we don't have any concentration on Krishna. It's very difficult. But if we try to see Krishna through the lenses of the devotees and the acharyas, then we will be able to truly understand who Krishna really is. So that is very important. Ambodhi stalatam stalam jaladitam duli lava shailatam shailo mritkanatam trinam kulishatam vajram trina shinatam vahani shitalatam himam dahanatam ayati yasyeshaya lila durlitaha bhuta vyasinine krishnaya tasmai namaha. So Rupa Goswami actually quotes an author. It is an unknown author, but it is put in this collection of verses by Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami says this very nice point. He says, let me first offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna. And then he says something very wonderful about Krishna. He says Krishna is very wonderful, he is very playful, and he is very mischievous. This is the way Rupa Goswami describes Krishna. So he says Krishna is Adbhuta, he is very wonderful. Why is he wonderful? Because all the actions of Krishna are so amazing that nobody can actually replicate them. Nobody can lift Govardhan Hill like Krishna did. Nobody could swallow fire in the forest like Krishna did. Nobody could sustain an entire community of Vrindavan under a hill for 7 days and 7 nights like Krishna did. Nobody could go to the abode of Yamaraj and call for those who were dead so that he could please his devotees like Krishna did. So Krishna is very powerful, and that's why he's known as wonderful. Then the next word that is used to describe Krishna is playful. Krishna is always playing with the cowherd boys, the cowherd girls, the gopas, the gopis. Prabhupada says that God is playing because he has actually nothing to do. When we have nothing to do, we are in trouble, isn't it? And what do you say that an uncontrolled mind is a devil's workshop, or idle mind? Yeah, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. when your mind has nothing in it, nothing substantial, when it's always caught up by material things and it has no engagement, then it becomes a devil's workshop. You try to do things that you're not supposed to do, and that's why it's a devil's workshop. But Krishna is so playful because he has nothing to do, because everything is being taken care of by his energies. He's so powerful that everything he can take care of, and he can remain very free. We can't do that. And that's why we are not Krishna. We have to remain constantly engaged. If we don't, then our mind will wander. So Krishna can be playful, and only he reserves the right to be playful. You will never see the Devatas playful, right? You don't see Indra running around. You don't see Lord Shiva running around. You don't see Durga Mata running around. Why? Because they are designated to perform functions in the material universe, right? Lord Shiva has a function to perform. Durga Mata has a function to perform. So they are not very free because they have duties. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he has no duties. Imagine if the most powerful person in the world has to work also. That's very sad actually. So that's why Krishna is considered to be playful. And the third word he uses to describe Krishna is mischievous. Krishna is mischievous, but his mischief is very sweet to the devotees. Krishna stole butter, right? Not only from under his own mother's nose, in his own house, but he also stole butter from everybody's house in Vrindavan. Now, in this material world, even if someone steals something from you, you are not going to smile and say, Hari Bol, this is a very sweet pastime. You won't. It's a very upsetting thing to happen. So nobody in this world looks at a thief as someone very illustrious. But it is so beautiful that today we remember Krishna as a deliverer of all of us, but also as the supreme thief. And that is wonderful. Krishna stole, right, sweetened rice, kheer, for his devotee Madhavendra Puri. And he stole it by hiding one pot behind his dhoti as a deity. He stole it because Madhavendra Puri just came in the morning, saw the deity of what is the deity's name? Kirshor Gopinath. Yeah, Kirshor Gopinath. He came to see Gopinath, and he saw him and he heard from the devotees that the kheer here that's prepared is out of the world. And he was thinking that if only I knew how to prepare this. When the offering was coming, he looked at the offering and he was thinking, if only I could taste it. Because if I tasted it, I'll know how to make it for Gopal. Because he wanted to make it for the deity of Gopal in Vrindavan. But then after that he thought, this is not correct. Because I should not be thinking of how it tastes or wanting to taste it even before Krishna has tasted it. So in great shame and remorse, Madhavendra Puri left. But his desire was so bona fide and pure that Krishna told himself, I must give him the taste of the kheer, even though he has left. So 11 pots, I think, came, and out of 11 pots, the Pujari brought back what he thought were 11 pots. But in the night, Pujari had a dream. And in the dream, Shirchod Gopinath said, Pujari, I've got news for you. I want you to open the door, look behind my dhoti. I have kept one pot just for Madhavendra Puri. In other words, the deity stole his own pot. That's what he did. He stole his own item. In this world, if you steal your own things, you're considered mad. Isn't it? But Krishna stole something that was meant for him, for his devotee, not for himself. In this world, we steal things for our gratification. But when Krishna stole butter, he did it for the pleasure of his devotees. And when he stole this kheer, he also did it for the pleasure of Madhavendra Puri. So his mischief is transcendental. It is transcendental. And then Rupa Goswami says, if Krishna desires, and this is very beautiful, if Krishna desires, he can make an ocean dry land. He can make an ocean into dry land. And he can make dry land into ocean. That is Krishna. Krishna can make a blade of grass into a thunderbolt. And he can actually make a thunderbolt into an insignificant blade of grass. This is Krishna. And lastly, Krishna can make fire cool, and he can make ice into fire. This is the shloka. So it tells us so beautifully that nothing is impossible with Krishna. We may think that in this world, so many things are beyond us, but we should have firm faith that nothing is beyond Krishna. Even if it appears that a situation is hopeless, Krishna can change any situation in the world if he wants to. But that doesn't mean that the devotee is always turning to Krishna for miracles. Krishna, I didn't study. Now you have to get me distinctions. Krishna, I never behaved myself, but now you need to get me something very good. Krishna, I have not saved enough money, but you need to make me a millionaire. That is foolishness. Krishna can do any of this if he wants. But what are you doing for Krishna? Are you behaving yourself as a devotee? Are you every day chanting Krishna's names? Are you regulating your life? Have you stopped meat eating, illicit connections? Have you stopped gambling? Have you stopped eating meat, fish and eggs? If you do all of this and you're doing nice sadhana, then of course you are qualified to receive Krishna's miracles. So we should be very careful to understand the shlokas properly. See them through the eyes of Shastra and not use them for our sense gratification. This is very important. We may think that a material situation will be better improved if Krishna can change it. But we don't know what is Krishna's plan. And we must accept that whatever is Krishna's plan for us is always the best for us. My Guru Maharaj used to tell me, sometimes I used to lament, Maharaj, we should have got this land, we should have got this, we should have got that. We could have bargained more for a lower price, for steel, for whatever. And Maharaj would always tell me, just remember, you are exactly where Krishna wants you to be. You are exactly where Krishna wants you to be. Whether you are suffering or you are enjoying, you are deserving of that. Accept it first. Don't blame Krishna. Don't say why this is happening, why that is happening. We try so many material solutions, right? We try so many material solutions for material problems. But we don't realize that until Krishna wants, nothing can change. Nothing can change. But at the same time, Krishna is Yogeshwar. He's master of mystics. And if he wanted, all the horses which were his chariot, the chariot of horses that he was riding, so many horses were there and they were riding very fast to kill Jayadratha, if you recall. And halfway through, the horses became very tired. And Krishna told Arjuna, if we don't stop now for a while for the horses will die of exhaustion. And you cannot reach Jayadratha and your promise will not be fulfilled and you will have to jump into the fire. So Arjuna turned to Krishna and said, Krishna, how is it possible? We are in the middle of the battlefield. You think we have the luxury to keep the horses, to rest them, calm them down, drink water? It's not going to happen. But Krishna is Yogeshwar. Krishna said, it will happen. Now you just stop the horses. And Arjuna had faith in Krishna, so he stopped the horses. And the moment he stopped the horses, Krishna gave him the potency. He said, now drop an arrow into the ground so that water comes out. And Arjuna shot an arrow into the ground and water came out. And Krishna quickly gave water to the horses. Then to shelter everyone, he told Arjuna, now shoot the arrows in such a formation that they cover all the horses. It becomes like a shed. And Arjuna dispatched so many arrows, they became so dense that they covered the chariot, they covered the horses, they covered Arjuna and they covered Krishna in the middle of a battlefield. And after the horses had taken about half an hour break, Krishna said, all right, they're ready now, let's go. So how is that possible? So we should never lose faith in Krishna. But having faith in Krishna doesn't mean you always get what you want. Please remember that. Most of the time we lose faith in Krishna because I didn't get what I want. I wanted this from father didn't give it to me. I wanted this from wife didn't give it to me. Therefore I've lost faith in Krishna. That is foolishness. If you don't get something that you're supposed to get, that means you're not meant to get it. That's it. That is Krishna's verdict. And you jolly well accept it. Because if you don't, you are the one who's going to suffer. No one else will suffer. You will just hit your head against a hard wall. And the only person who's going to be damaged is you. No one else. So you see, Mayaya vaite nihata purva evam nimitta matra bhavya savya sachi. Krishna says, by my arrangement, everyone on the battlefield who was supposed to die, died. They haven't died, but they have practically died. So Arjuna, you just become nimitta matra. You become my instrument. That is how we must live in this world. If we desire something very much, but we cannot achieve it, accept it as the hand of Krishna. And accept that whatever Krishna gives to us is best. Very important. This doesn't mean you cannot be ambitious in your material world. Do what you have to do at your work. If you need to score points, you need to move up to the next level, try your best. But after trying everything, if you can't do anything, then accept it as Krishna's will. But never forget, Krishna can turn ice into fire. He can turn fire into ice. He is playful, he is mischievous, and what's the other quality? He's wonderful. He's wonderful. So this is the first part that we should understand of Krishna. The second part, the concluding part of Krishna, is another nice shloka. Vatsalyat abhaya pradaha samayat artarti nirvapanat audaryat agashoshana aganita shreya pada prapana Sivya Shripatir eva sarva jagatam ete yata sakshinaha prahladascha vibinascha karivat panchali ahalya dhruvacha. There's a very beautiful verse also that Rupa Goswami keeps in his compendium of verses. And he says, Krishna is very affectionate. He's very affectionate. Affectionate means he's Vatsalya. He's always very affectionate to his devotees. But Krishna's affection can sometimes be different from what we think it is. You know, when a father or mother are affectionate to their child, it doesn't mean they give their child whatever they want. You all are parents, you know that. If you keep giving your child whatever he or she wants, they will become spoilt, because they will not know how to regulate their lives. So actually the affection of a father and mother is actually sometimes to say, no, I can't give you this because it is for your good. And Krishna does that with us. So affection just doesn't mean spoiling us. Krishna puts us through the baptism of fire, but that is his affection. Please remember that. In the material world you call it tough love, isn't it? Right? That's Krishna. So Krishna is affectionate. But because he's affectionate, he does one thing. He promises to give fearlessness to his devotees. That is a sign of his affection. So don't think affectionate is a sentimental thing. How do you know Krishna is affectionate to you? Because he will award fearlessness to you. Very important. And when he gives you fearlessness, Krishna will give you the capacity to face any challenge in the world. Only he can give you fearlessness. Everybody else cannot give you fearlessness because everybody else in the three worlds is governed by fear. Fear. Even the Devatas are fearful. Every time Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha or some demon came into this world, all the Devatas will make a pilgrimage to Brahma. Brahma will make pilgrimage to Krishna. Krishna will assure Brahma. Brahma will tell the demigods, cool down. And then everybody will go home. That's the routine. Right? So the Devatas cannot give you fearlessness, because they are also looking to Krishna. Therefore, if you are anxious about something, if you are fearful about something, please turn to Krishna. He awards fearlessness, abhaya. The second symptom of his affection, very important, is he removes his devotees' sufferings. He always does, but not in the way we think he does. We think I'm suffering because I want this TV and I'm not getting it. Or I want this particular object and I'm not getting it. Or I want this nice picture and I'm not getting it. And then we feel that, oh, Krishna is not actually giving me something. But actually, by either regulating it or not giving it to you, Krishna is doing one important thing. He's removing your attachment to something. When you become attached to something, that is the root cause of your suffering. Please remember that. When we become overly attached to something, that becomes the root cause of our sufferings. It is detachment that brings us peace. And that's why Krishna's great quality is that he removes the sufferings of his devotees. And he does that sometimes by denying them something, and sometimes by awarding them something. This is a very important thing. Most of us will find this quality of his affection difficult. For example, if we are coming into our careers, we want something, we don't get it. We try very hard, we don't get it. It seems like we're hitting a blank wall all the time. We must understand that this doesn't mean Krishna is not affectionate to us. But his mood is, he's removing a potential suffering which we cannot see. This is his nature. You see, this is his nature. You know, in the churning of the milk ocean, there were the Devatas and the Asuras. And they both wanted Amrit. The Devatas wanted Amrit as badly as the Asuras. But they turned to Krishna for blessings. And Krishna told them that I will get you Amrit. But when Amrit comes, don't run after it. If you run after it, you will suffer. And true enough, when Amrit finally came with Dhanvantri, the Devatas remembered Krishna's words and they kept quiet. They said, let us be patient. Krishna said, don't run. But it was very difficult because the demons ran for the Amrit. Supposing you're running after a prize and somebody tells you don't run when the prize is there, and you see everybody running, what's your instinct? You want to run, isn't it? In Singapore, if there's a sale and there's a queue, suddenly someone breaks a queue, everybody breaks the queue. Isn't it? They do that. In India, you don't do that because there's no queue. Everybody runs anyway, so it's easier. But in Singapore, you've seen, they will have a queue, suddenly somebody breaks, right? There's some noise, everybody runs. It's very hard to constrain ourselves, you see. But Krishna is telling us, if you want me to remove your suffering as a sign of my affection, listen to me. Be patient. Don't run after the Amrit. And they kept quiet. They reminded each other, Prabhu, Prabhu, do you remember Krishna told us to be patient? Let's be patient. That's why you need sadhu sangha. Alone, very difficult. You will run. But if you have a few friends, they are wise, hold on. This is what Krishna said, right? Let's wait. And they waited. And because they waited, Krishna came in the form of Mohini Murti. And she took the Amrit from the demons, and eventually she tricked them and gave it to the Devatas. So sometimes patience is very important as a devotee. We all want everything yesterday. That's how much we want something. But we need to know that if we really want to be relieved of suffering, be prepared to follow Krishna's plan. Very important. So what are the two symptoms now of his affection? The first symptom is that he always promises to give fearlessness to his devotees. Second symptom, he removes the sufferings of the devotees. Now Rupa Goswami is pointing out the third symptom is he's audharya. Audharya means he's very generous. Krishna is so kind that he's ready to give anything to anyone if he needs to. He was prepared, he has given so much opulence to the demons. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu's opulence made the Devatas pale in comparison. And yet Krishna gave. Krishna was very generous to Sudama. Sudama had nothing, went to Krishna, did not ask anything, came back home empty-handed. But by the time he came back, my God, he had a palace. He saw his wife coming and thought it was the goddess of fortune. So this generosity is Krishna's. And he will give it to the devotees. He will. Look at Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj had nothing, a little boy. He went to the forest and remembered Krishna. But by the time he came back, he didn't want anything material, but Krishna gave it anyway. Krishna said, 36,000 years you will rule your kingdom. You will become so powerful, greater than your father, greater than your grandfather. So powerful you will become. And you will not only rule that way, but after even ruling in that way, I will personally be there to protect you. All material benedictions came to Dhruva. How generous is Krishna? How generous is Krishna? The next quality that's really important is that he takes away his devotees' sins. One was sufferings, that's one S. But another sign of his affection is that he takes away our sins. What is sin in Krishna consciousness? Sin simply means the act of not remembering Krishna. Every time we don't remember Krishna, we are in an act of sin. Because anything that you do without Krishna will become something that will bind you. So anything that you do, if you have an overall consciousness that I'm doing it for Krishna, you start your day working. Now who's your employer? Your employer is Krishna. And if you're clear about it, by the end of the day, you resign from work and offer everything to Krishna. The next day, you get re-employed by Krishna and you continue working for Krishna. In such a mood, you will work very well. But the sins of the work don't touch you. Because they are taken away by Krishna. You see the point? If you perform an activity which is Krishna conscious, there is no sin involved in it. The moment the Kantimala comes out, the moment you do something which has nothing to do with Krishna, all the sins come on your head. That is a fact. Now we cannot overnight change this, but we should do more and more and more Krishna conscious activities. Then the rest of it will go automatically. So a sign of affection is to remove the sins and remove the sufferings. And one last sign of affection, which is very nice, is Krishna bestows ultimate auspiciousness on everyone. Everything becomes auspicious. In this house, how auspicious is the morning actually? You can feel it. We're all in the mode of goodness, or we're in the mode of Vishuddha Sattva, purified goodness. Because we're only talking about Krishna. We are very peaceful. We may have been very tired last night. We could have stayed up late. But we're surviving because of Krishna. We must have had a long, hard week. Only you know what a week you had. Right? What kind of tough people you had to deal with. And how tough you must have been to other people also. But ultimately today we are feeling very auspicious. This is the greatness of Krishna. So the next time someone says, how does Krishna show his affection? The Acharyas have made it very clear. He shows his affection by giving auspiciousness, by relieving our suffering, relieving our sins, by being generous to us, right? Audhauryan. And also very importantly, fearlessness. Fearlessness. And that's why at the end, a few devotees are given examples. The given examples are, very nicely it is stated, Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was given fearlessness by Nrsimhadev. Otherwise, how could he fight off his most demonic father, Hiranyakashipu? And after that, after Nrsimhadev became very angry, only Prahlad could stand in front of him and garland him. Even Brahma said, no, I am not going to stand in front of the Lord. And Lakshmi Devi said, I don't know who this person is. He's not my husband. Only Prahlad Maharaj. Why? Because Krishna gave him fearlessness. That is fearlessness. The next example is Vibhishana. Vibhishana had to tolerate so much insults from his brother Ravana. And he took such a great chance to leave Lanka and come to Lord Ram's camp when he knew he would be labeled as a traitor. But how generous was Krishna? That Krishna broadly opened his heart and broadly embraced Vibhishana and brought him. That is the affection that he gave to Vibhishana. The third example is Gajendra. Gajendra was in so much difficulty and he was actually in so much suffering. The pain was too much. But Krishna's affection came when he removed the suffering of Gajendra by killing the crocodile. That's what he did. So this is the greatness and affection of Krishna. Then the next devotee is Draupadi, Panchali. Panchali was in so much difficulty. She was abused, she was humiliated, she was minimized in the assembly. In so difficult times it was. But Krishna gave her so many affectionate gestures. He made her fearless to only remember him. He was very generous to give her sari after sari. The sari never ended. That was Krishna's generosity. He removed her suffering immediately after that. And Draupadi Mata was given the most auspicious thing by Krishna. And that auspiciousness saved her. That it saved her. Even though she was in the most inauspicious of surrounding, Krishna bestowed auspiciousness by when she started chanting Damodara, when she started chanting Madhava, when she started chanting Govinda. You see, this is how Krishna came, and he relieved her of that actually. And then one more example that's given is Ahalya. Ahalya is very nice. Ahalya actually was married to the sage Gautama, and she was the most beautiful daughter of Brahma. When she was actually created by Brahma, she was so beautiful that Brahma had to keep her hidden from the Devatas. Indra saw her and became completely smitten with her, and he wanted to possess her. But Brahma said, I will allow someone to be a husband if they are able, the first person to tour the whole three worlds, that person will become the husband to Ahalya. And so Indra went very quickly around the three material worlds and came back and said, I am the champion. But actually Brahma said, when I look carefully, you are not the champion. Gautama beat you to it. But Gautama didn't go anywhere. What Gautama did was he served Surabhi. Surabhi is the cow. She is the spiritual cow. And she is considered to be the sum total of all the material worlds. All Gautama did was to feed and milk Surabhi. And Brahma said that is actually conquering the three worlds. And he did it in much faster time. No petrol, no running around, no moving around. He just stood there, he served Mother Cow. And therefore Gautama married Ahalya. But Indra's lust, right, and desire to actually capture Ahalya continued. And one day when sage Gautama went to take water, Indra came disguised as Gautama. And when he came disguised as Gautama, he showed affection and love, and attraction for his so-called wife. And actually Ahalya did not understand the situation. And she just decided that it's her husband. So she lay with the husband, but only to realize later it was Indra. And so when that happened, Gautama understood what had happened. He cursed Indra, but he also cursed Ahalya, because he said, you should have understood that I am your husband. And no matter who comes disguised as your husband, you should discriminate. So he was very upset with her. But Ahalya accepted the punishment. And he said, for thousands of years, you will be invisible to human beings and you will live like within ashes. You will become a stone, but your redemption will come when Lord Ram, the Lord, Supreme Lord, will pass by Mithila. She was living in an area just close to Mithila, and there he will deliver you. And so Ahalya waited for thousands of years like a stone, until one day after Lord Ram had killed the demoness Tataka in the forest, Vishwamitra took him from there and brought him to Mithila to see Janaki, Sita Mata and King Janak. On the way they passed the hermitage of Gautama, but Gautama was not there. And Vishwamitra said, Ahalya, the great devotee, is waiting for you. In her heart she has served you and served you for thousands of years, and she has so much faith in her. Please come and please remove her sins. That is the sign of Krishna's affection. So Lord Ram just used his lotus feet and touched the stone, and immediately Ahalya came out of the stone. And when she came out of the stone, how wonderfully Lord Ram forgave her. He removed all her sins, removed all her sufferings, and he awarded her fearlessness. This is the affection of Krishna, and that's why Ahalya is given. And the last person here is Dhruva Maharaj. And we just spoke about Dhruva. Dhruva is very special because Dhruva Maharaj was actually very angry with his mother, with his stepmother, and he left for the forest. When Narada came also and said, go home, he said, no, I want to continue. And so this fearlessness to continue was in Dhruva. And Krishna's affection was shown by giving him so much generosity. Even though Dhruva eventually said, I don't want anything material from you, Krishna said, I'll give you a double dose of that, and I will give you spiritual taste for Krishna consciousness also. So you see, at the end of the day, this is the greatness and affection of Krishna. Krishna is so kind that actually he awards us so many different benedictions. So why should we ignore Krishna? Why should we spend so much time with everything and anything that has nothing to do with Krishna? This is the point for us to remember. I tell you one thing unequivocally from the pages of Shastras, and that is the fact that without Krishna, no one can truly be happy. It is a fact. If anyone thinks they can be happy without Krishna, then they are living in what we call cuckoo's land. Your happiness without Krishna is temporary. And sometimes in modern day parlance, you call this the dopamine effect. Have you heard of the dopamine effect? I think you would have, right? Dopamine is actually secreted in us, and it actually it gives us a high. And every time you do something, which gives you that feeling of high and excitement, actually dopamine is released. And you become addicted to it because you want it to be released all the time. The problem is, no matter how much dopamine you have, you'll constantly be chasing for something to give you the satisfaction. You will never be peaceful. So if you take that away from that person, they will go crazy. They'll go crazy because they have no control over their senses actually. And they think they are happy, but actually they are not happy. They are just running after their happiness, but they are not happy. There's a difference, Running after something and actually getting something is very different. But the devotees don't have to run after Krishna because Krishna is running after us. Krishna is so kind and affectionate. He's always with us. As soon as we chant Krishna's name, he's with us. As soon as we hear about him, he's with us. So please, even if you spend 50% of the day doing so much of material things which you have to, even there try to remember Krishna. And after that, spend time with Krishna. Have I chanted my rounds today? Have I actually sat down to read about Krishna? The problem is when we are young, we think we will do it 10 years later. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. What you can't do today, you will never do 10 years later. That's logic. Because the truth is, you are the variant. And as long as you are the variant, you'll never be constant. Isn't that logic? That is logic. So we have to become constant in this equation. If you run after material things, they are variable. You'll never become happy. So that's why everyone, minimum, we should put aside time, at least few minutes a day for Krishna. If not, at least half an hour a day for Krishna, where we sit down and we just read and we chant and we remember Krishna. Otherwise, we will come for these programs, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, very happy. We'll take prasadam, Hari Bol, very nice prasadam. We'll go home and nothing will change. Then 1-2 months later, Neil Prabhu and Bal Mataji will call us again. And then we'll come again and we'll say, yes, 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 now I'm devotee. And then go back and become the same thing again. What for? It's a waste of time, isn't it? So this is Krishna's affection. Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai. Srila Gurudev ki. Jai. Jai Gaura Premanande. Are there questions? Are there comments? Are there realizations? Yes, Mataji.
Krishna Prabhu, thank you for that beautiful class. When you were mentioning about Arjuna and Draupadi, I remember that someone once mentioned that the Pandavas had to suffer not because of their karma or sin, but because of Krishna's plan, and he gives the suffering, to his devotees so that people learn from them. But then, how do we look at it that way? That as devotees, we don't want to suffer also. So if this is what it means to be a devotee, then why should we? So how do we look at that?
If you have that kind of thinking, then by definition you will not be a devotee. You will be trying to be a devotee. If the devotee is a devotee, then the devotee's love for Krishna will supersede the so-called pain, because the denomination is faith. The devotee knows that I may have to go through a trial of fire, but Krishna is actually, he's steadying me. He's priming me to become a devotee. The example that Prabhupada gave is the blacksmith. The blacksmith is making a sword or iron, He puts it under extreme pressure. He puts it under extreme heat. He keeps knocking on it. And it appears like it is really suffering for the iron at least. But at the end of the day, the work product is excellence. So a devotee is prepared to go through the trial of fire. Because if you don't go through a trial of fire with Krishna, in any case, you'll go through the trial of fire of this material world. And you know how much you have already gone through it. So why not go through that to purify yourself and become better? Take it as an assessment. Every exam, you know how much you suffer. This is also an exam. Socrates said many years ago, and he's not even Krishna conscious, but he said the unexamined life is not worth living. It's true. Our life has to be examined. We must be assessed. And that assessment is a trial. And that's why sometimes it's difficult. But you realize you never are able to push yourself to become better until you go through that kind of trial. Isn't it true? Imagine if you never had exams, you never had to sit for any particular assessment. You never up the ante. You just keep it at where you are. But when Krishna puts you in difficult situations and you have to really bear the test of it, if you have the right attitude, you come out of it even more productive as a devotee, even more happy as a devotee. So you brought up a very important point. If we still feel that trepidation, then we should accept that we are aspiring to be devotees. And we pray to Krishna that the day comes when we have enough faith in him, that's the first shloka, enough faith in him to know that if he puts us through something, he also gives us the potency to go through it. That's very important. Krishna will never put you through a test without giving you the potency. He's a very kind father. He will tell you have to run, but I'll give you good shoes. And you run. He won't tell you to run, barefoot. He'll give you the facilities to run. But we must have the faith, you see. If we have the faith, things will be fine. Is that helpful? So it's a very good question. Anybody else? Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, may sound a silly question.
No, nothing is silly.
My question is, you mentioned that Lord, all the demigods, they go to Brahmaji, and Lord Brahma then goes to Lord Krishna. and he assures Brahmaji that it will be solved, and then Brahmaji comes back to the demigods and he assures that
Yes.
don't worry, it will be solved.
Yes.
But in this scheme of things, where does Lord Shiva stand?
Lord Shiva is an exceptional personality. In whole of Bhagavatam and our Shastras, we never find Lord Shiva running to Krishna for help because he's always meditating on the Lord. That's why in the most difficult of situations, Lord Shiva is never seen becoming perplexed. He's Asutosh, he's very peaceful because he's always meditating on the Supreme Lord. When Daksha, his father-in-law, became very upset with him and cursed him, even then Lord Shiva was very peaceful. He didn't have to run anywhere because he was always meditating on Krishna. The Devatas are very great devotees, but sometimes they are very attracted by sense gratification. And they are always fearful that they will lose their position. Lord Shiva is not at all attached to his position. That's why he's sitting in a cemetery. And he is the Lord of all the bhutas and the ghosts, the goblins. So he has no attachment to anything because he's completely attached to the Supreme Lord. That's why in all these Devata situations, you will never see Lord Shiva feeling very disturbed. Is that all right, Mataji? Very nice point. Yeah, that shows. That's why Lord Shiva is known as the most exalted devotee because he's always peaceful, very peaceful. Very nice point. Yes, Prabhu.
When Gautam Muni cursed Ahalya and Indra, what punishment Indra got up?
Indra got a terrible punishment. He had eyes all over him. That's why sometimes you see pictures of Indra with eyes everywhere. These eyes are the eyes of Sakshinaha. They are the witness to what he did. Indra took the guise of Gautama thinking that the world did not know, that he could hide behind his sins. Sometimes we do something and we keep quiet because we think, hey, you don't have proof that I did it, right? We are very smart that way. You can't prove it. I'm in the business of proving things, right? So I can tell you many things cannot be proven. But you don't have to prove anything because Krishna sees everything. He witnesses everything, and in time you will be punished. So Indra thought he could come quietly, disguise as Gautama and get away with it. But Krishna gave Gautama Jnana Chakshu, and Gautama cursed him that you will have eyes all over you. So everywhere he went, he walked around, not just with his eyes, but with eyes everywhere on him. It was a show to the whole world that actually he had performed a terrible sin, and the eyes of the witness were actually on him. So this was the punishment. And he got no redemption because Lord Ram didn't come and step on Indra's head. Lord Ram came and he delivered Ahalya, but not Indra. So this is a very important point for us to think. Because Indra was not feeling repentant, but Ahalya was feeling repentant. Is that all right, Prabhu?
But Prabhuji, if Indra was a devotee and a devata, how could he commit such a
Very good question. Because there are different types of devotees. Our Shastras tell us there are 3 different kinds of devotees. There's Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. Kanishta Adhikaris are the lowest kind of devotees. They are considered devotees because they have some faith in Krishna. But most of the time they are selfish. They are very caught up with Krishna from a point of, I need something from Krishna. They are also full of sense gratification. And they only see Krishna in the temple. That means they will go and pray to Krishna, but after that they treat people very badly because they don't see Krishna in the hearts of people. They can be violent, they can be hot-tempered, they can be angry, but these are all in the modes of ignorance. But they are still considered a devotee because they still chant the name Krishna and they have some faith in Krishna. So the Devatas very often display Kanishta symptoms. Even though they are exalted, they are given extreme nice posts, but very often they display these symptoms. The second kind of devotees are Madhyama Adhikaris. They have great faith in Krishna. They don't only see Krishna in the form of the Murti, but they see Krishna in the hearts of entities. And they are very loving with people, and they are reading the scriptures and Shastras, and they have faith in the Shastras. The Uttama Adhikari is the highest. They are the pure devotees. They have nothing to ask from Krishna, and they go wherever Krishna wants them to. They cannot discriminate between one person and the other because even in a dog or even in a man, they actually see Krishna. This is very, very high level. Very, very, very high level. Most of us will fall between Kanishta and Madhyama. And the devatas are somewhere in between. Sometimes the devatas, in the evening they could become Madhyama, but morning they could be Kanishta. It's very possible. We also, in the morning when we wake up, we could be Kanishta. Somewhere in between we improve our Krishna consciousness, midday we become Madhyama. Now sitting for the program, we are all Uttama Adhikaris. But after the program, you have prasadam and you go home, I don't know what Adhikaris we will be. You see? So this is also, even in devotional service, there are gradations. Is that helpful, Mataji? Mm-hmm.
And then how do you regulate yourself?
Very important. If you want to regulate yourself, you have to regulate the mind. And the only way for the mind to be regulated is to chant more. The more we chant Krishna's names, the more quality we put into our chanting, the more the mind becomes still. The more we do devotional activities without even separate endeavor, Mataji, the mind will become regulated. But it requires time, patience, enthusiasm, and confidence. That's what we have to do. Good questions. That's how you move. That's how we move. Srila Prabhupada told us all of us should actually become pure devotees. Because then only we will please Krishna. You know? Because that's the best we should become. In material world, we want to be the best at something. In spiritual world, we should be the best for something for Krishna's pleasure. Thank you. Shall we chant? Yes, Anush Prabhu. One last question. No, it's very nice to hear everyone. Yes.
Just a comment.
Yeah.
So it was a nice comment from your side to explain us that Krishna is a supreme Lord, and since he is supreme, he is playful.
Yes.
He can afford to be playful. So we read all the
his
scriptures
leelas.
and we read his leela. So sometimes we wonder why are we reading his leelas about like butter thief, about he playing with the gopis. So so this is a very good understanding that since he is supreme, he doesn't have any work.
Exactly.
To do, so he's playful. He can afford to be playful. So
that's an important thing. That's why in the material world, if someone is idle, we are not very happy with them. But in spiritual world, God is very idle. Why? Because everything is at his disposal. And he's completely free to do what he wants.
Yeah, in Gita he says on shloka that he doesn't have any work to do, but
Yeah.
he's engaged.
He's
to
engaged.
show everyone the example.
Exactly. And Krishna did that. In his Leela, as you said, Krishna, he was a cowherd boy. Then after that, he was very, very kind to his parents. He also became engaged and went to study. He didn't have to study with the rest of the boys and Balram in Sandipani Muni's ashram. He didn't have to. But he did it to show us that. But actually, he's very free. Mm-hmm.